Hello everyone, welcome to JK's Corner. My name is Joke and I'm glad you're joining me today. Today I'll be talking about parenting abroad as a Nigerian mom. Parenting is usually a challenging task regardless of where you are, whether you're parenting in your home country or abroad. But I feel like in my own personal experience, I felt it was a bit more challenging because I was away from the community I grew up in and the community I knew. I felt there was going to be a lot of pressure on us to be really good parents. If you're new here, thank you very much for clicking on this video. And I create content around cooking, healthy eating tips and life in general, mostly around my faith. And I hope you find something of value here and you decide to stay. Remember, please like and subscribe to my channel. If you've been here before, thank you for coming back. It really means a lot to me that you keep coming back every time I post a new video. When we relocated to the UK, it was vitally important to the both of us that we wanted our children to grow up in the faith. And there were a few challenging things that made that difficult for us to do compared to how we would have done it when we were back home. So there were some core values that were of importance to us and we knew we didn't want to lose them, which was of course our faith and our culture. Quite a lot of them meant a lot to us and we were not going to let go of those parts of them. Just because we've moved to a totally different environment, we had to find a way to bring together both cultures and make sure we don't lose any of the important parts of ourselves. When we moved here, our kids were 6 and 3 and we will have to wait a few years before we start tackling the hard part of, parenting. But it wasn't meant to be. The fact is, there were 2 black kids in a totally new community and they were having a lot of challenges they were never exposed to when they were back home. That meant they were coming back to us regularly with questions. We didn't have answers to those questions. So these questions came. How do you then respond to this? What kind of answers do you give for these questions to make sure you don't break the rules that governs the society you live in, instill any negativity about the new community they're living in them? Because don't forget, your kids will always say what you say in behind closed doors. They will go back to schools and to their school and tell these other people. You want to make sure that you're being very sensible in what responses you give to your children when they ask questions. One of the things we did that helped inform the kind of responses we gave to the questions they had was I started watching all the British soaps to educate myself quick enough, how this new community I live in, how they related and, how the children spoke to their parents, how the parents responded back to help me understand. Because don't forget, I was new, my husband was new, the kids, of course, they came in, they had to go into school. No matter how much knowledge of the working place I'll have or in the next few weeks, months, I needed my kids to not stand out any more than they already do in school. I quickly noticed in those dramas, those soaps, that there was a lot of open communications between parents and their children. Now, I may not necessarily agree with the way the communications were going, but it was a communication method we had to then bring into our way of parenting. When I was growing up, we didn't have the courage, I think, to ask a lot of the questions that we wanted to ask. And even the few people that asked those questions, they didn't get the right responses. But because you live in the same community with people of the same parents who, of course, their parents will give them little to no response as well. So we were kind of maybe, if you like, moving as a pack where we were, it's different for my children. I had to make sure they get the right information relevant to my own way of life, relevant to my own faith, relevant to my own beliefs, and make sure that they don't take any negativity away from it. I also did not have the luxury of the internet to go Google questions that may be, on my mind. I just accepted what was given to me and that was it. But my children had children of different cultures, different faiths, different children of no faith, no culture, who also then bring information to them. Had to make sure that whatever they were consuming, even though they were getting all of those information, they knew what was right. And thank God they tend to know what a good parent is. And once they identify that in you as their parent, they will listen to what you tell them. Whenever the kids ask us anything, we always answer them as honestly as possible, even if it's something that contradictory to our faith. We then highlight to them, explain to them that this is the response, but then again, this is how you do it in Islam. So we always highlighted that to them. We always giving them the responses to anything they ask. There was never anything we shied away from. If they asked a question that they were not of age to ask at the time, we tell them that, oh no, you're too young for this question now. When you get to this age, we will talk about it. You know, when it came to maybe things like their body changes, we told them everything, you know, what to expect. There wasn't any, because when I was a kid, I didn't actually hear anyone talk to me about those sort of things. So it was kind of like the same talk with my children. But I realized that here, there's a different kind of pressure I had to be aware of. They asked a lot of questions, even around relationships, and we're very open to them about it. Made sure they are aware of the difference between doing something because it's legally acceptable and then doing something because it's halal, that's accepted within the confines of Islam. Now, because yes, the fact that they are living in this country, yes, they have to be aware of the do's, the don'ts, what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. But again, we need to make them aware of what is acceptable within the confines of Islam. Something I found very useful as well was that listening to the kids went a long way to making the relationship between parents and children really good. We became very good listeners to what our children wanted, and that really helped us. And I think, I'm only going to talk about my own experience, I believe we did a good job with raising our two, alhamdulillah. Please think about listening to what your children are saying. If you're constantly in conflict with them, maybe just sit down and actually listen to what they're saying. Because yes, they may be telling you something that's not in line with what you want them to do. But because you've listened, you can then give them a different advice to the one you've always thrown at them. It always makes a lot of difference to us. Kids are always going to have questions. You should be ready to give them the answers that aligns with your faith. Make sure you have backings for all these answers as well, because they're very good at asking you that, or where did you find this in the Quran or in the Hadith? Where did you find that? So you become very good at learning yourself. So, you know, being a parent, you become good teachers and you become good learners. You know, that's a given. You just have to be. Another thing we learned to do quickly was we praised them a lot, because, you know, children, especially, you know, coming from a Nigerian background, if your parents will, oh, you've done this wrong, you've done that wrong, and, you know, try to be good, try to be better. But the fact that you're raising black kids in a non-black society, you need to realize that, you know, when you were back home, when you were being raised, even though when your parents were saying, oh, you've done this wrong, you've done that wrong, your teachers were praising you when you do something right, because you probably were the top of your class or you did something really amazing. So your teacher praised you for doing that. But when you're raising your own black kids in a non-black community, you have to be vocal about, you know, their little milestones. Remember to praise them about it, because you can't only highlight the things that they do wrong. You have to make them aware that you're proud of those amazing things that they do as well. Even if it's not constantly, the few times they do it, remind them about, oh, wow, you've done this, well done. That was such an amazing thing you did. You know, you smiled at that kid, even though they bumped into you. That was really nice of you to do. You know, little things like that, it does go a long way to raise their self-esteem. These are a few of the things we did to help us. I wish somebody had told us when we were coming that, you know, quickly switch your parenting style as soon as you get here. It's not going to be the same you were used to doing when you were back home. That would have maybe, you know, helped us a bit. But alhamdulillah, we did the best we could. And I think we quickly realized we had to change things as soon as we arrived here. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share and subscribe. And I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you very much for staying this far. Bye-bye.